Chris Goffey, who's reporting.
The sound and fury of a big cat at full cry has always been something to set race fans' hearts aflutter, but this year the sight of these cars actually leading the cream of the European opposition has really been something to savour.
You made pole position in practice, you're going out for an untimed session. What's the point of doing that?
Well, it's raining today very heavily, so after the practice you always change all the car, they check it all over, so it's just to check the car out before the start of the race and also to try out the wet weather tyres.
Do you think the Jaguar is quicker in the wet than the BMWs, or is the wet weather bad for you?
Well, it's a big heavy car, and traditionally in the wet a smaller car is more nimble, but it just depends on the circuit and the tyres we get on it, so that's what we're trying now. There's two different compounds, so we'll try both of them and see what happens.
And in the pit was the old man of Jaguar himself, Sir William Lyons, here today to see his cars in action on the track again.
With this weather been changing so much, with a big heavy car, the tyre choice is really critical.
So here we are on the starting grid of the 1983 Tourist Trophy race. 107 laps. There's going to be pit stops and a lot of excitement. It's going to be a fascinating struggle between Jaguar and their arch rivals BMW.
Tom's co-driver, Chuck Nicholson, took the first stint at the wheel and was up with the leaders at the first bend. This to the intense delight of a wildly enthusiastic Silverstone crowd. It seemed that the days of Jaguar domination were back. Memories of the Le Mans conquering C and D types flooded back, and the bitter disappointment of Jaguar's last foray into racing 4 years ago with the ill-fated XJ12 coupes was erased. The euphoria was soon shattered though. The second Jaguar went straight into the pits from the grid with the fan belt tensioner out of action and the water temperature soaring. It was delayed for 7 frantic minutes and then tore off in pursuit of the pack. Tom's choice of tyres seems to have been wrong, with Chuck circulating well off the leader's pace and the track drying fast. A worried pit crew called the big cats in for a switch of rubber to slicks. Meanwhile, the second Jaguar was valiantly clawing its way back up through the field.
That the Tom Walkinshaw Chuck Nicholson car has actually gone off the road, and that looks as though it's the end of a day as far as Tom's concerned for a drive. But the good news is the other car has now fought its way back up to 9th place and is currently gaining fast on the cars in front of it, so it's by no means the end of the day for Jaguar. Chuck, the big question, what happened?
Well, I don't think I need make up any excuses. It was driver error. I tried to cool my tyres that particular lap by driving on the wet line to keep the soft, slick tyres with some grip to last my stint out. So when I came back on the dry line, they were a bit damp, and I think I must have overlooked that fact and got a bit wide, and as soon as I got back on the wet, that was it.
With his own Jaguar out of the race following the Nicholson accident, Walkinshaw changed cars late on to take the final stint in his second car himself. The long and arduous TT, the oldest race in the history of motorsport, started to take its toll. But the lone Jaguar continued to pull back those lost minutes. It was unable to make much impression on the horde of BMWs. However, the Rover Vitesse, also race prepared by Tom Walkinshaw Racing, held onto its lead over a determined BMW Challenge to win.